Okay, I think we'll get started, and Nicole will continue to let people in. But thank you and welcome. It's hard to believe it's 2022 already. And we're going to have a fantastic evening sharing with you all of our successes for 2021. So Mary Ellen, would you like to start?
Sure, take it away. Welcome, everybody. I should introduce myself first. My name is Mary Ellen Stoll, and I am the board chair for the board of directors of Watersheds Canada. On behalf of the board, I want to thank all of you for coming to what is actually our first ever year-end celebration event. Virtual, but given that it's the only one so far. And I would have to say, just based on what I saw so far of the people signing on, no matter what your interests in Watersheds Canada and watersheds in Canada, I would say it's fairly safe to say all of us have seen in the past year, if not before that, the impacts of development and of climate change on Canada's freshwater. Besides that, during the pandemic, many of us, many Canadians and Americans as well, seeing as there's some of you here, have turned to the natural environment for recreation, for rejuvenation, for a place to be with their families and to enjoy themselves. So we all have a vested stake in the success of this organization. Having said that, this organization would be nothing if it were not for the individuals, the community groups, and partners like you who have participated on the ground with us, or if you haven't participated in the ground, you somehow have a stake in this organization. So I'm really excited that you can see our collective accomplishments and be amazed and wowed by that. So thanks very much. Looking forward to this, and over to you, Barb.
Thank you very much. I'm not going to speak for long, but I just want to say a huge thank you to all of our amazing staff. And so I'm Barbara, the executive director. And, you know, it's hard to believe that coming up into 2022 is actually going to be our 20th anniversary. And, you know, for myself, I've been here for over 10 years. And, you know, it's unbelievable to see how we've grown, you know, from a really small regional organization in Eastern Ontario. And now we're delivering programs, you know, across Canada. So I'm really excited to see the presentations from the staff. And just want to say, as you have questions as we go along, put your questions in the chat. And so you're going to hear some of our new programs, some of our new initiatives, as well as some of our flagship programs. And so to get started, Melissa Dakers is going to get us going. Thank you so much, everybody.
Great, thank you so much, Barb. So yes, my name is Melissa Dakers, and we're going to start off tonight's presentation with the Love Your Lake program. We have had great success with the Love Your Lake program in 2021. For those of you that don't know, it is a shoreline evaluation and stewardship program, and it's in partnership with the Canadian Wildlife Federation. And despite the pandemic, we were able to expand to Nova Scotia this year. So we're into the Maritimes, which is really, really exciting news. This year, Watersheds Canada assessed 4 lakes and in Eastern Ontario, and that's a total of 1,012 individual shoreline assessments. So that's really, really exciting. And in 2021 across Canada, we were able to assess 14 lakes in total, with 2,936 individual properties assessed in British Columbia, Saskatchewan, Ontario, and Nova Scotia. So we're really, really excited how this program is doing and how we're expanding across Canada. In total, since 2013, we've hit a bit of a milestone. We're now over 200 lakes. So we're at 201 lakes assessed with 47,000 226 individual properties assessed. So we're making really great progress and we're reaching a lot of people, which is really great news. So the next thing I'd like to talk to you guys about is Lake Links. Lake Links, we had our 20th annual celebration this year, and we carried on despite the pandemic. It was our second online meeting, and it was another great success with so many participants, and we're now being able to reach across Canada and across other countries as well. So that was really, really excited to see. For those of you that don't know, Lake Links is a collaborative one-day workshop held every October. And it attracts citizens and scientists to share ways we can help sustain our lakes and rivers. Since the pandemic, we have hosted online, and we're hoping that next year we'll be able to host in person and maybe do a collaborative online and virtual as well. And this year's workshop, we learned about connecting our values with our actions in order to help protect our lakes and rivers. We revisited the Lake Protection Workbook and highlighted actions that property owners have taken because of this workbook. So that was really exciting. And we awarded the 4th recipient of the Gord Rogers Memorial Award, which was David Overholt from White Lake, and for his outstanding contributions and exceptional efforts to ensure the healthy future of our fresh water. So once again, congratulations, David, on all your achievements and what you've been doing to help protect our water. We want to also thank all of our funders and our donors and all of our supporters for sticking by us for over 20 years. So it's a very exciting day, and we hope you can join us next year, October 22nd, for the 2022 workshop. And a special thank you to the Lake Links Planning Committee, because without all of you, this day couldn't happen. So thank you so much. Next, I'd like to pass it on to Chloe Lajoie, our Natural Edge Program Manager, for her updates.
Thanks, Mel. So hi, I'm Chloe, the Natural Edge Program Manager. I saw a few past participants saying hi in the chat, so thank you for attending tonight. But if you're not familiar with us, the Natural Edge is a shoreline naturalization program where we work with waterfront property owners to restore their shoreline and bring it back to a natural state by planting native trees, shrubs, and wildflowers that are suitable for their property. 2021 was a very busy year for us, where we wrapped up some projects, but we also began new ones. So firstly, we completed our 3-year planting project in the Quinte Watershed, where we partnered with Quinte Conservation on the delivery. This project was funded by the Ontario Trilling Foundation, and in total, we worked with 86 landowners to plant over 23,000 native plants. And we surpassed our goal and ended up restoring over 5.7 kilometers of riparian habitat. Most of these properties were small residential sites like cottages and homes, but we also did 10 public demonstration sites on public lands. So we worked with townships and municipalities to host workshops where the public came out to learn about the project and actually helped to plant the shoreline. For some of these sites, we also created some educational signs so that anybody in the future who's coming to visit the park can read about the project and learn about why we did it. I'm also very happy to announce that Quinte Conservation is going to continue delivering the Natural Edge program on their own starting this year. So next you'll see some photos of a couple of the demo sites that we did. The park on the left, Delhi site, was a bit of a test site for us this year. So Delhi Park in Prince Edward County, they had an issue with invasive species. So we worked closely with the township to cut down those invasive species because one of them was poison parsnip. And we came in the fall and densely planted some more aggressive growing native species. So we did some pussy willows, meadowsweet, and 300 green-headed coneflower plugs. So we're excited to be watching this this demo site and see how it turns out. We continue to deliver our own natural edge kits, with most uptake in the Cataraqui and Mississippi watersheds. For these sites, landowners received a free site visit where we met and discussed their goals for their shorelines. And then if planting was needed, they purchased a natural edge kit where they received a custom restoration plan and all the plants and materials they needed to plant their shoreline. So just this past summer, we completed over 50 site visits throughout Eastern Ontario and followed up with 15 plantings this past fall. And then the remainder of the sites will be completed this year, starting in the spring. These kits really helped us to keep up with the demand, as we've had an uptake of people reaching out to us, especially since COVID started, whether it's people are buying new properties or just spending more time up at the cottage. So these kits are really great. We take care of ordering all of the plants and materials. We assemble the kits, and then the landowners actually came and picked up their kits and did the planting themselves. So they're getting a more hands-on experience, and we've received great feedback so far. On the next slide, you'll see here's just some planting photos. We did a few really neat sites. You can see up on the left-hand corner where there's actually like stone or rock riprap up by the water. So we did a few sites like this where the shoreline was just severely eroded. So the landowners got permits to put in riprap, and then we came in afterwards and actually planted the native stock into the riprap to not only hold the soil beneath, but it also helps anchor the rocks. And then we also planted that line above so that whenever there's any waves coming up and over, that in the future that soil will be secured. This year was also very exciting for us as we received funding from RBC to launch our program Canada-wide. Now that we've built our program and tested it in Eastern Ontario, we really wanted to share it with other organizations so that they can deliver it in their community. We now have a total of 13 natural edge delivery partners in BC, Saskatchewan, Ontario, and New Brunswick. And we also have more partners who are interested in taking part. So a big focus of this year is to apply to and secure more funds to hopefully be able to bring on new partners. So we share all our program materials needed to deliver the program. And this includes our brochure, educational guides that we've developed over the years, as well as our Natural Edge app and with our built-in native plant database. So on the next slide, you'll see just a screenshot of our app and what it looks like when we're designing a plan. It basically guides partners into creating a custom restoration plan. They can bring our app out on site with them and design a plan in less than an hour right there with the landowner. It's really easy to use, and even the landowners can help choose the species and the placement. So not only did this funding allow us to work with new partners, but it will also see to naturalize 60 sites using 8,000 native plants. Oh, another thing is we were also really fortunate enough to take part in Earth Tech, which is a 6-month accelerator program who helps entrepreneurs and nonprofits working on tech solutions for climate change. They really helped us to build our program to be able to launch it nationwide. And we won 3rd place in the public pitch night, where we had the opportunity to pitch our program to investors. As well, we were nominated for the 2021 Nature Inspiration Award. And then finally, another big project that we started is we received a 3-year Great Lakes Protection Initiative grant funded by Environment and Climate Change Canada. So this project will focus on improving water quality within the St. Lawrence River area of concern, which stretches from Cornwall eastward almost to the Quebec border. We'll be working with 50 waterfront property owners along Lake St. Francis, which is just a section of the river, as well as on Akwesasne lands. And we'll be planting over 12,000 native plants, and we'll be aiming to restore 3 kilometers of shoreline. We'll also host 5 planting workshops, which will be open to the public again, so that we can get people to come out and learn about the importance of shoreline naturalization. For this, we're partnering with 4 local organizations to carry out the project. So we'll be working with the Mohawk Council of Akwesasne, Raisin Region Conservation Authority, the River Institute, and the Great River Network. They'll be the ones connecting with the community, and our goal is to build capacity so that they can continue to deliver the program in the area after this project is complete. So I just really want to say thank you to all of our partners and all of our landowners who took part. We couldn't have done this without all of you, and I'm very excited to see where this year takes us. So I'd now like to introduce Darlene, who will give you a review of our Planning for Shorelands program.
Awesome. Thank you, Chloe. I'm just trying to get my camera going here for you guys, but I'll deal with that later. Anyways, my name is Darlene Coyle. I joined Watersheds Canada this past summer as the environmental policy and planning intern, and I'm currently leading the planning for our Shorelands program. So in combination with the work that was completed with my predecessor, we have done quite a bit of work to get this program off the ground. So with more people moving out of the city to open rural communities, the unique natural landscapes that they come to enjoy start to become the very thing at risk when development proposals try to recreate the cityscape and invade on integral natural landscapes, like Mary Ellen was discussing earlier. So building off of some of the successes of our other programs, we wanted to provide resources not only to educate property owners, but local decision makers as well. The province of Ontario provides a general response to the protection of our freshwater resources by mandating the maintenance of vegetation and soft surfaces along lakes and rivers. It allows municipalities to create bylaws that specifically address their unique cultures and landscapes. However, because these policies are so broad, the way municipalities use this authority is often quite fragmented with varying degrees of success. Can I get the next slide? There we go. So you see, when it comes to the governance structure protecting our fresh water, some municipalities will have more resources than others. For example, some will have conservation authorities, some will have an upper tier municipality, some will have both. And these additional agencies allow some jurisdictions the financial support and manpower to regulate and monitor shoreline development with a bit more ease than some who have neither. So this problem is further exacerbated by the misconception that when you buy a property, you can do whatever you want on it, which is simply just not true. Especially as a waterfront property owner, there's a level of responsibility attached to it because of what you do adjacent to a water body has direct impacts on the beauty and enjoyment of the lake, which nobody owns. Which is why we have bylaws in place to regulate shoreline activity and development to be enjoyed in the long term and over generations. Oh, sorry, can you go back? There we go, sorry. So to investigate this issue and figure out some of the barriers these municipalities are facing regarding shoreline stewardship, we conducted a stakeholder survey early last year. We received responses from almost 200 individuals across Ontario from representatives of lake and river associations, municipal elected officials, and professional planners. And what we found was that there is a general lack of knowledge around the importance of natural shorelines and the ecosystem services they provide us with. We also found that municipalities are stretched quite thin in their ability to sustainably manage the impacts of waterfront development on adjacent water bodies. Monitoring and enforcement of adequately sized vegetative buffers along water bodies was one of the biggest issues reported by respondents of the survey. This report can be found on our website, and I would encourage anyone who has a moment to, at the bare minimum, just scan through the report, as it has so much insightful feedback and analysis as to some of the issues going on at the municipal level. This is what led to the development of the Planning for Our Shorelands policy and planning program. So it is aimed at helping municipal decision makers sustainably manage our shorelands through strong and enforceable policy. And the way that we are seeking to do that is twofold. The first is by creating a website highlighting the science of natural shorelines, their social, economic, and environmental significance, and highlighting some best management practices of innovative municipal policies governing this issue. The second is by hosting a series of online discussion forums where local municipal decision makers from across Ontario can come together online and discuss some of the common but complex issues their townships are faced with. This is a space where these folks can come together, offer their experiences, and openly discuss different ways to sustainably manage shoreline development. I love this infographic. Okay, so we created this one a few months ago, and this was our way of kind of clearing up the misconceptions around the ideal waterfront property. So this is depicting a beautiful development that is completed in harmony with nature. Our message here is that you can still have your dream cottage, but it needs to be done in consideration for natural processes and natural habitat. So this includes a cottage that is well back from the water's edge. You have a winding path to the water, a small cleared space for a lake view while still maintaining the natural aesthetic, a small recreational area at the water's edge, and so on. So in total, we have had 3 discussion forums so far. The last forum was held last November, which was presenting the participants with 2 very common waterfront development scenarios. And the participants were asked to discuss some of the mechanisms that their municipalities use to address them. So what we found was an array of standards and enforcement mechanisms used to ensure that negative impacts of development are identified and mitigated. For example, some municipalities passed bylaws requiring the possession of a permit to remove shoreline development, and some upper tier municipalities provided water quality testing to help inform the lake capacity. However, all municipal representatives agreed that the issue of sustainable land use planning around waterfront properties is a pressing and complex issue that municipal decision makers require more assistance with. So the participants left with a network of new colleagues from other jurisdictions and examples of different ways of approaching shoreline development proposals. So we hope to continue hosting these forums as we build our network and have the opportunity to discuss these issues in more detail. So since the political climate around this issue has only intensified, we have been bringing in some field expert speakers to talk about different ways that policy can be used to safeguard water quality through strong and enforceable policies. So again, last November, we had the former planning director of the township of Lake of Bays present on her township's experience implementing and enforcing a community planning permit system, which is something that very few municipalities use, but has been found to be quite effective. So planners, elected officials, lake and river associations, and members of the public all attended from across Ontario to hear this unique perspective to land use management. Permit systems are typically met with hesitation and concern, as many landowners do not appreciate stricter regulations placed on them. However, during the Q&A period, many insightful questions were asked, and it seemed like many people were intrigued by the success of Lake of Bays. Our hope is that we can continue to bring in policy experts to share their experiences with the public and educate property owners on the importance of sustainable land use mechanisms to safeguard freshwater systems. Finally, the findings from all of these sources that I just mentioned are going to be used to inform the best management practices toolkit we are in the midst of creating and are hoping to launch it in the next few months. It will be a living document that will be accessible online. Visitors will be able to navigate through the content and download relevant resources to help inform various waterfront issues within their municipalities. This is a new program developed by a diverse steering committee of environmental nonprofits, professional planners, conservation authorities, cottage associations, and prominent lake stewards. And we are excited to see it grow and support municipalities in the coming years. I'm going to pass it on next to Monica, who's going to talk about our education and outreach.
Thank you, Darlene. So I'm really excited to talk about this new kind of program that we've been able to launch this past year, thanks to different regional partners and youth organizations. And this way that we've been able to reach people in both an online world and an in-person world. So one of the new ways that we were able to connect with people online was the Freshwater Stewardship Community, which is a free online resource for concerned waterfront property owners, students, community groups across the country who are looking to gather information about what they can do to address the many different problems our freshwater is facing. So we have already over 1,000 members who have joined, and rather than just being a Canadian-wide thing, it has actually spread well, which has been such a wonderful kind of weird side of this pandemic and the online resources that we are able to create. We're able to reach so many more people than we would otherwise in person. And so we have been able to host 12 webinars in 2021, and we had 10 education resources that went with them. And of course, we watched the webinars on demand afterwards on our YouTube channel. So you can see that the reach is far greater afterwards than we would have live, say, at an in-person event. So we are able to reach even more people that way as well. Here are the different presenters that were part of the 2021 webinar series. So you can see that there is a wide variety of stakeholders. We have nonprofits, charities, community groups, academia, and businesses. And that is because this is an issue that impacts everyone, and everyone has a different stake in it. There are lots of different issues depending on where you are in the country. And so we try to reflect that with the speakers that we have. And we would like to thank the SM Blair Family Foundation for funding that webinar series last year. As I mentioned, each webinar comes along with a handout. So we created these one-page resources to summarize what was covered in the webinar, but also to act as an extra education resource. So people are able to share that within their own networks, on websites, or on social media. And each handout would summarize the key topic and different resources that people can access to learn more or become engaged in that issue from that talk. So we were able to link out to different community science initiatives, different resources for people to practice their identification skills, or different groups where they can join and learn more about a topic. And all of these recordings of the webinars and these handouts are available for free on our website. Another project that we were able to launch last year was the Ontario Shoreline and Freshwater Health Multimedia Experience. So again, a project that had to adapt because of the pandemic. We had both in-person and online elements to it. And the focus of this project was to help connect waterfront families and not only connect them to their waterfront, so the ecosystems around them, but also to others in their community. So we had a couple of different resources available to these families and waterfront associations, including an interactive video lesson, an assessment exercise, kind of a get to know your lake, which you can see on the slide, 2 online webinars where we talked about the different impacts that on-land development can have on the freshwater ecosystem and how our actions can help protect our freshwater. And we also had some shoreline renaturalizations through the Natural Edge program. On top of those 2 programs, we were able to launch a brand new program this past year called Nature Discovery Programming. And this was really looking at reaching children and youth who would typically not have the opportunity to connect with nature. So many of us have been very fortunate to grow up either near the water or have a means to get to a natural area. And we recognize that that's not the case for everyone. And so we wanted to create some programming that would be able to bring nature to the students in a way that was accessible to them, but also in a safe way for them. If they didn't have a lot of experience with nature, it would be sort of a soft introduction and they could explore it at their own comfort level. So one way that we did that was through a Freshwater Plants and People program. So this was an in-school program that was curriculum linked. It had a number of video lessons, activities, and handouts that were at different levels depending on the different kind of understanding the students had of different local species, but also their English learning levels. So we were able to create a lot of picture-based activities that the children could still use even if they had limited English. And the reason that we knew this was a barrier that we were going to overcome with this program is because the program was delivered into schools that have high populations of new Canadians and English as a second or even third language. So it was really important for us to make nature as accessible as possible to them. And we found that through the surveys through the program, a 30% increase in the students' knowledge of different local species of plants and animals. So here we can just see a few photos from those students taking part in the activities. So the teachers were basically given everything they needed in a container to deliver a freshwater module and a native plant module. And so that included that video lesson as well as some activities. And so the students were able to apply what they saw in the video, learn key vocabulary terms, and also, as you can see on the right photo, get to know some local species in their area. And the idea behind all of this is to, of course, help them foster a connection with their local nature. So in an urban setting, what are the plants and animals that they might see? What might they see right along the shoreline? And we're trying to foster that interest and relationship with nature in the classroom to start. Another way that we were able to help connect rural families to nature is through our nature discovery kits that were given out in Haliburton and Peterborough. And so there were 2 kit themes. One was freshwater themed and one was forest themed. And everything that a family would need to just get outside and explore was contained in that kit. So they had different scientific tools, as well as a workbook with different activities that were curriculum linked. And it would provide them with that first stepping stone. So if they didn't feel like they were connected to nature, or they felt it was too overwhelming, or they didn't know where to start, they could follow the instructions and the activities and get that first step of becoming more comfortable with nature around them. And sort of a sister side of that was a backpack lending library that we delivered in partnership with Yak Youth Services in Perth. So a bigger version of the nature discovery kits were found in these backpacks, and they were available to youth and their families to rent out in the summertime. And again, looking at some of the typical native species that they would encounter in the Perth area and what they might be able to learn about them, the different threats that they're facing, and what action steps they could take. There were also some in-person components to this. So we held workshops. The one that you can see on the bottom is with water rangers. So the students had a hands-on experience with the mini test kits, and they were able to learn about different characteristics of freshwater and how they might change in an urban setting. And they were also given native seed kits to take home. So here is a kind of screenshot of the first 2 pages of those workbooks that went along with the kits and the backpacks. And these are free to download on our website as well. They go through everything from safety and nature to different parts of the ecosystem. So both the forest side, on land, and the freshwater, and helps youth get into what kind of animals live there, what do they need to survive, and how human actions can change that. And then there are some activities that are more kind of adventure-based, where you're pond dipping. Some of them are more artistic. So again, it can be accessible to any level of learner. And now I will pass it back off to Mel to talk about our habitat and stewardship programs.
Thanks, Monica. Okay, so let's talk about some fish. We were really happy to be able to start doing some fish projects again this year. We had to take a little break in 2020 due to the pandemic, but this year we were able to complete a few of them. So the first one that we were able to do is the Olmstead Jeffrey Lakes Brush Bundle project. In September, we were able to create and deploy 18 brush bundles and place them in Olmstead and Jeffrey Lakes, which is located in Renfrew County. And by adding woody debris back into a lake, we have enhanced walleye, pike, and bass habitat by creating areas for the fish to rest, to feed, and rear their young, as well as creating habitat for other wildlife like turtles and invertebrates as well. We'd like to thank Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's Outdoor Fund and the Pembroke Petawawa District Community Foundation for their generous funding support on this project. And of course, all of our wonderful partners. We couldn't have done it without you. We were able to connect with the Lake Association, the Muskrat Watershed Council, as well as bring out students from Algonquin College, Pembroke campus, to come out and take part in the project and learn about restoring and enhancing fish habitat. And a special thank you to the Ontario Ministry of Northern Development and Mines and Natural Resources and Forestry for all of their support on this project. We're excited to see the results, and we'll be returning this summer and taking a look with our underwater cameras to see how this project has enhanced the habitat. Here's a little group picture of everybody that was involved on the day. It was a great turnout. The students and all of our partners learned a lot, and it was a really fun time to actually get out and get involved and be on the water. So thank you again to all of our partners. Here's a picture of Kayla. She was our intern this year, building a brush bundle and learning about fish habitat. As well as here's some really amazing footage that Monica took of a brush bundle being deployed. As you can see, we just take a bunch of different brush all together. We anchor it to cinder blocks, and we use special rope that is UV protected and moisture protected, and we put it into areas that are greater than 10 feet deep, or in back bays and areas where it will not pose a hazard to boating traffic. And we let Mother Nature do its work, and hopefully we see fish using the area. Another project that we are really excited about is the Diamond Lake spawning bed restoration. This is our first lake trout lake. So it's a little pilot project that we have been working on. It has been in the works since 2015, and we're really excited that it's finally coming to completion. In September, we went in with our volunteers and we were able to wash this historic lake trout spawning bed. We had volunteers out there sweeping it, and we used a power washer and washed all the silt off of the existing rocks, and then let it go for the spawning. Spawning takes place at the beginning of October. And we will actually be returning in a couple weeks in February to add a little bit more stone to the bed, and it will be done on the ice. And this lake is suitable for this because there's no strong current. So we will place the rock on the ice, and then in the spring it will fall into the bed, and it'll add another level of enhancement. And hopefully we see this historic spawning bed being used again, and it, helping that lake trout population thrive. Here's some pictures of our day in September of our volunteers using brooms and actually sweeping the rocks on our spawning shoal. It was a lovely day. And then here's some other shots. So this is what the rocks looked like before we started, all silted over. And then here's a shot of us power washing and getting all the debris out of the area and removed. Our final project that I want to talk to you tonight is our Pugnose Shiner Landowner Engagement and Shoreline Habitat Restoration Program. It's quite a mouthful. It's an amazing 2-year project, and we have been working on this to enhance the last remaining habitat of the Pugnose Shiner, which is a small fish, and it's a species at risk, and it's in the Quinte Watershed. I'm just trying to see. So this project involved many programs. So the first one was Love Your Lake. And we went out onto East Lake, West Lake, and Wellers Bay and assessed every property owner, or every property had got an individual assessment through the Love Your Lake program. And they will receive in the spring an individual report on their property on how they can voluntarily enhance and improve their property, and then which improves the water quality and the habitat for the Pugnose Shiner. We were able to do over 880 assessments this summer, and we want to thank all the boat drivers and the coordinators, and a special thank you to the Log Cabin Point Resort for helping to make this year possible. I know we had a lot of issues with very shallow waters in that area, but you guys were able to make it happen, and we really appreciate all the hard work of everyone. We were also able to bring the natural edge to the area as well. So those 3 lakes, East Lake, West Lake, and Wellers Bay, as well as the surrounding catchment area, were able to participate in the Natural Edge program. And we were able to enhance to over 2,500 square meters of shoreline in the last 2 years to help improve the water quality and habitat for the Pugnose Shiner. We were also able to do some aquatic vegetation assessments, and this whole project was in partnership with Quinte Conservation. They were able to go out and do these aquatic vegetation assessments on each lake, and they now have a baseline data. They now know all the aquatic vegetation and the invasives, and are able to put into a plan into place and understand the area a lot better because of it. So we would like to thank, actually I'm just going to go back here one more because I didn't get to thank everyone. We would like to thank everybody that was involved in the Pugnose Shiner project, especially the generous funding from Fisheries and Oceans Canada's Habitat, Shoreline Habitat, Habitat Stewardship Program for Aquatic Species at Risk, it's a mouthful, as well as Quinte Conservation, Wellers Bay, Friends of Wellers Bay, and the West Lake Community Foundation as well. And I want to thank everyone for attending tonight. This is where you can find us. We are all over social media as well as on YouTube. So please check out all of our videos as well. This video will be posted there for you to share. And now I think we'll look at the chat, and I'm going to also ask all the staff to turn on their cameras. So we have a few minutes, we can answer some questions. I'm just gonna switch the view. Just give me 2 seconds. Oh, yeah, it works. All right, good to see everyone. Is anybody able to read the chats?
Yes.
Okay.
We don't have any questions so far, but amazing presentation. Yes. And let's just see here.
I guess we all explained ourselves really well. But listen, if you guys do have questions, feel free to send any one of us an email or give us a call. We'd be happy to chat with you about our programs and about things that have happened and what we can maybe partner on in the future. And we just really appreciate all of your ongoing support.
Absolutely. There is a question just asking if we had any advice on removing wild parsnip.
For the project in Prince Edward County, I know that like it was left to the township. I don't know, like I think they just mowed it down and kept mowing it throughout the summer, so it never got too tall. You'd want to get it started right away before it starts to seed as well, and later in the summer. For just a few plants, whenever I've had to remove some, like just be fully clothed because you don't want the sap to touch you at all. And then I've gone over the individual plant with a heavy duty garbage bag, pulled it out using the bag, and then letting it cook in the bag as well. But I'm sure there's many more tips online. I've only done individual removal.
Thanks, Chloe. And we were asked if we do talks on Zoom for lake associations. And I can say we have done many, and that's something that we're happy to do. So just reach out to us and we can talk about it.
And then Jim, I see your comment. Yeah, we'll be coming out to Sand Lake. I know we've been in touch with you because you had some plant loss while you couldn't get up here during COVID. So we're going to come out and check out your site in the spring.
And I see that there's a question about if there's a role for hunters and angler associations to help on shoreline management. And maybe Mel, you have an answer on that one.
Yeah, we work with fish and game clubs as well. So if you have an area that you would like to work on, or you have an idea for a project, we are more than happy to connect with you. Promoting shoreline health is our #1 goal. So having your support and your partnership, it would be great. We can talk to your group, we can talk to your communities, online or hopefully in person at some point. But yeah, reach out to us for sure, and we can chat.
Okay, and then a question, Darlene. This is the big question. When will the planning for our Shorelands online could be available? So this is the question of the day. So Darlene.
Yes, there's a few people asking that. So we're in the process of developing content for that. So I mean, if we're putting a timeline, I think to go live online might not be until the summer. But I mean, if you have questions and stuff like that about particular policy mechanisms or anything like that, like I will talk to anyone about policy any day of the week. So I mean, I can put my email in the chat. Feel free to send me an email if you have a specific question about something, and we will totally set something up. But be careful, I will talk.
She loves policy. She did interesting staff meetings. No, I just kidding. And there was a question around, sending out emails when the planning for Shorelands is available, and we'll certainly do that. And thank you. And somebody, Anne has a cabin in northern Saskatchewan, and she is experiencing ice heave, in which she has gotten some work done, and she just said that she hopes to get more information from us. So yeah, we work with different partners in Saskatchewan, and so there might be opportunities to connect with us through some of those partnerships as well. Great. How is it determined which lakes get assessed for the various programs? So we do have an application form for the Love Your Lake program. So our lakes apply to be a part of the program, and then we kind of get you on the list as we have the capacity to carry out the program. And same thing, a lot of our partnerships with other programs are through people who connect with us. So if you're interested in a project or working with us with your lake association or organization, just make those connections. Okay, and Jim, you're asking if we've considered having formal regional representatives to address specific local issues. Watersheds Kawarthas or Watersheds Halliburton. I wish. No, we have not. You know, that's certainly an interesting idea, but that has not been something that we have thought about. Okay, David. Oh, hey, David. Congratulations on your award. So David is asking,
thank you, Barbara.
If you have any ideas about restoring submerged and emergent aquatic plants at shorelines. Chloe, do you have a answer on that one?
Sorry, any ideas about restoring submerged and emergent? We don't do any in-water work just because it requires permits to have to do. So I always suggest just unless to not pull it, try not to remove it and see what comes up naturally, because it is a bit of a process to actually try and go about planting aquatic plants within your area. And
I do know, I think down on Dog Lake, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe the Lake Association there has been doing some experiments with some floating aquatic vegetation mats. So we can maybe chase down, if it's not Dog Lake, we can find out who has been doing some experiments. So I'm sure we can find that and see how that project is working. But they're actually building floating platforms to bring aquatic plants back into their lake. So I know it's an experimental project, and you know, I can track them down if you're interested, so you can reach out.
Yeah, I would like that. Thank you.
All right, David, we'll reach out. I'll track it down. I'll pop you an email. So Darlene, oh, you've got that from Kathy. Great. And I think that's all the questions in the chat. So thank you to everybody who came out, and you know, appreciate all of your support, you know, especially over the last couple of years with opens and shutting and you know, all the different things going on. We're still here. We actually have more staff now than we had, you know, pre-pandemic. So the online world has actually been a huge blessing to us as an organization, because we have amazing staff that we're able to hire from Toronto, you know, and different, you know, different locations. So we have really adapted. So just, you know, welcome to our new staff members. And yeah, it's amazing to see, you know, the organization grow and build and adapt. So it's, you know, COVID, some of the blessing in disguise is we would not have had our online freshwater community. We wouldn't have all these webinars and monthly meetings. We wouldn't have some of these amazing staff. And so it's made us sort of pivot and adapt. And I think, you know, everybody has done a really good job. So thanks to all of you guys for sticking with us, and looking forward to continued partnerships and collaborations, and you know, meeting more of you out on site visits, hopefully, you know, when things open back up again, you know, and we're not in the snowy weather. So
thank you, everyone. Really appreciate you attending tonight.
Okay, thank you.
bye, everybody.